Hello folks, Joe Holbrook here, the Cloud Tech Guy. I am here going to talk about module number 4 of the mini bootcamp for the Certified Blockchain Solutions Architect exam by the Blockchain Training Alliance. Now, one of the areas of focus that you're going to want to definitely know is around Ethereum. Now, this module, I'm not going to cover everything about Ethereum. Don't have enough time, and there's a course for that as well. Now, I wanted to talk about briefly Ether gas and why that is important to know for the CBSA exam. So let's go ahead and talk more about this. Now, the CBSA exam is going to definitely test you on knowing what gas is, why it's important, and also we're going to talk about some units of measurement as well. When it comes to Ethereum gas, it's important to understand what Ether is first, and then what we want to talk about is what gas is. And why do we need gas? Got some review questions, and then there's more resources to study as well. Let's talk about Ether and how that really is intertwined with the gas price. Now, we're all familiar with Ethereum, and we understand that Ether is essentially the native token, right, of the Ethereum platform. Now, Ethereum is, again, the native token of Ethereum. That, of course, doesn't include all the other tokens that rides, on top of the Ethereum platform. Now, the goal of Ether is to, of course, reward the miners. So when you're developing a smart contract, you have to be able to pay for that smart contract to execute. And so that smart contract is going to start here and go down and complete. For that process to happen, those Ethereum virtual machines require gas to process that transaction or transactions. Now, every line of the smart code uses gas, and so therefore you have to specify gas. Now, I'm going to talk about why it's important, how you specify gas, what happens if you don't have enough gas or if you have too much. Now, when you're using the Ethereum network, remember that this is a permissionless blockchain. And therefore, someone has to pay for it. Those miners are, nice guys and girls, right? But they have to get paid for the resources that they're using to provide your transactions, right? So the Ethereum network requires gas to essentially proceed. Now, gas is nothing but a measurement. It's not something that you touch. It's not something you can hold or cuddle or whatever. And you really can't estimate what you really need very well. There is a resource or two I'll talk about. But once again, just think of gas and the gas price as being really sort of, intertwined or the same thing. Now, gas is really what? It's a measurement roughly equivalent to the computational steps for Ethereum. Now, every transaction, of course, for that smart contract to execute, right, has to have gas. And if you don't have gas, then that transaction is not going to work. Or if you run out of gas, then what'll happen? It's going to not complete that transaction. It will be written to the blockchain, though, as incomplete, essentially, but it doesn't complete. Every operation does have a gas expenditure. Now, the gas price is set by you, essentially. Essentially, you're the requester. Gas price is the amount of Ether you are willing to spend on every unit of gas. Very simple. So basically, if you want to spend, let's say, 10 Wii or 100 GUI or 1 Ether, that's your call on what you really need for you to process those transactions. Very simple, right? Now, you need to determine that gas price that you're willing to pay. However, it's sort of like an auction, right? If you have 1,000 nodes and all those nodes want to, essentially run those VMs to do the work to help you out, right? They use what's called proof of work mining, and therefore it's a very expensive, resource intensive way to run a blockchain. Therefore, for you to run that smart contract, what has to happen is that a miner has to agree to run that smart contract, those lines of code basically, for the price that you're willing to pay. Now, I'm going to, of course, show you a website where you go to and get an estimate of the current sort of average prices that people are paying for gas. But again, just remember that you have to determine it. The miners don't determine it. They do determine whether or not they want to run your transaction or not, but you have to specify that in your execution of that smart contract, and we'll talk more about that. Now, the gas price, right? Essentially, there's a couple things you could do. You check your balance. You could look at your gas limit, gas price. You could buy more. So MetaMask is a good way for you to not have to download the whole blockchain and determine how much gas that smart contract may need to execute, for example. Now, GUI is essentially the unit of Ethereum coin that's used to calculate transactions. And if you go here to My Ether Wallet, that's an example of an Ethereum wallet. And they also have a breakdown of the unit of Ethereum as well. And again, you feel free to look that up yourself. If you don't know what a Finny is, you don't know what a GUI, a Wii, a Franklin, a Spanner, whatever. So go ahead and check that out if you don't know. And then let's talk about Ether gas station. So this is a cool website. This is going to help you get visibility, transparency into what other miners are taking to run other transactions. For example, there is generally a minimum considered amount of, Ether that you need to buy to run that smart contract, or the line of code. If you don't have enough gas, right, you have to go buy more Ether to be able to run that transaction. So let's go over to ethergasstation.info right now. Okay, so I'm over here at the Ether gas station. Now, this is actually a very useful website, very cool, well laid out website, very easy to understand. Now, basically, you've got a lot of dashboard information here, very easy to reference. For example, this is the standard cost for transfer. This is the gas price, and we at the average time. It's not updated fully, but it's close. This is the lowest cost, 0.014, essentially, GUI, right? And then 1.4, again, that's specified in GUI as well, 1.4. That's essentially so this is in dollars, and then this would be the amount that you would, on average, receive. Medium wait time, if you go for the lowest price, is about 28 seconds. Number of blocks that you're going to wait is about 2. Now, because that's the safe low amount of money, let's say you have this smart contract that you have to get done as quick as possible. Money's no object, whatever. What you could do is simply just go into your smart contract and up the ante for that specific transaction or smart contract. Again, that's up to you. Now, what's cool is you go over here and adjust, for example, the confirmation time. So, for example, if you want, you could play around with this as well. I go over here to the transaction inputs. The gas use, again, that's the minimum basically that they like to use as an estimate. If I want the fastest transaction time, I could use 40 GUI and guarantee that'll be done as quickly as possible. And then if I hit submit, this tells you the estimated fee would be, 0.00084 for the fee. Amount of time would be essentially 2 blocks and 31 seconds. That's the mean time. Number of blocks, like the percentage of the last 200 blocks that use that price. Now again, that's the fastest. If I want to go really cheap, let's go ahead and take a look at this. You could see there again, prediction. Let's make sure that refreshes. Sometimes it doesn't totally refresh. And you could see that that didn't change. So let's go ahead and refresh that. Okay, so the average, for example, is 1.9 GUI. And you can see that that changed quite a bit, right? And then again, I go to cheap. And I have to reload that. And you could see that that actually is not updating for some reasons. Like again, sometimes it may or may not execute the way you may think it would. And you can see that executes pretty quickly. So again, play around with this. You'll of course, this is not real time or anything, but again, it does a good job at helping you estimate what's going on. Now, gas burners, this is actually pretty cool. This tells you, for example, the wallet address, tells you the percentage of gas used, and it also will tell you the ID if they list it. Basically, the total amount of gas, the percentage, 6.47. Again, that's quite a bit. And lastly, they have right here the low gas watch list. Now, this again is nice to look at. You don't need to know this for the test or anything, but it's interesting to look at because sometimes it's updated, sometimes it isn't. You just never know what you're going to see on this. So let's go back to the main page. So I encourage you to play around with this. Go down here. You could also see the top 10 miners. There's also categories of different stats to look at as well. So that is ethergasstation.info. Okay, so we looked at ethergasstation.info. Let's go ahead and test our knowledge now. The more important the processing of that transaction is, the price should be higher. Is that true or false? That's true. Now this one here, I covered part of the way. I didn't cover it all the way because I wanted to give you all some opportunity to study. But basically, there is no fixed price of conversion of gas. It's easier for the sender of the transaction. It's really, I should say, it is up to the sender of the transaction to determine how much they want to spend in gas. Now, what about if they don't specify enough gas and they run out of gas during the execution of a smart contract? Well, basically it is answer A, the operation generator must still pay the miner's fee. In other words, you're still deducted some gas. And that's for the computational cost for what was executed. But everything stops. And then that operation does actually get added to the blockchain. Now, the second answer is incorrect because it says it does not get added to the blockchain. In other words, it's marked as incomplete on the blockchain, essentially. But again, that full smart contract is not fully executed. It only is going to charge for the lines of code that it basically ran. Okay, remember, I have practice questions on Udemy. The link for the discount code is there. I have a session planned as well. The link is there if you want to take a look at. And also on Pearson Safari, I do have a Hyperledger Fabric course as well. And also look out for a CBSA course on Pearson live lesson, which will be released in August. I just recorded it basically not even a week ago. It's going to take Pearson about 2 months to get everything uploaded, edited, ready to go. Pretty excited about that, so hope to see that soon. All right, reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm going to wish you luck on your exam. Let me know if there's anything else you want me to cover. I'll see what I could do to do that. Now, this is number 4 in a series of 10. So there is 6 more, right? 6 more coming after this. I'm not going to do anything more than 10. That's what the course is for if you need to have the full, gauntlet of information. See you soon.